SCP-3886 The Necromancer's Saddle. Object Class Euclid. Formerly neutralized. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-3886-1 is to be detained in a standard humanoid containment cell in Site-102's low-threat humanoid wing. To encourage compliance with Foundation staff, SCP-3886-1 may be granted requested reading and recreational items pending approval of site administration. Under no circumstances outside of testing is SCP-3886-1 to be allowed access to SCP-3886, which itself is to be kept in a locked storage box in Site-102's Safe Object Wing. Testing may occur with oversight from at least one Level 3 personnel. Should current containment procedures fail, or SCP-3886-1 become uncooperative with Foundation interests, punitive measures, from restriction of privileges to termination of SCP-3886-1, are authorized given the assent of Site-102 administration and the current overseeing researcher. Description: SCP-3886 is a leather English dressage saddle of early 20th century design. SCP-3886 is uniformly black in color, with no ornaments save for silver clasps at the terminating ends of its girth and billets. Despite its current state of tarnish and moderate disrepair, SCP-3886 is seemingly impervious to all further forms of damage or alteration. When first acquired by the Foundation in Redacted 2010, SCP-3886 was believed to be neutralized, with only Document 3886-1 certifying its prior abilities. It has since been realized that only represented a temporary, passive state, with containment procedures being updated accordingly. An active state is achieved upon SCP-3886 making physical contact with a relative of French-American immigrant and equestrian carnival performer, HY. Once this occurs, said relative, from here on labeled SCP-3886-1. Footnote 1. The current SCP-3886-1 subject is one junior researcher, PT, who came in contact with SCP-3886 during a containment breach on the 17th of Redacted, 2015. Is physically incapable of moving more than 1.6 kilometers from SCP-3886 and may engage SCP-3886's active effect as follows. If the active SCP-3886 is attached to a recently deceased body, footnote 2, 1 to 5 days from clinical death on average, of a sufficiently sized animal, footnote 3, defined as large enough to wear SCP-3886, the animal, now termed SCP-3886-2, will animate and seek out SCP-3886-1. Upon reaching SCP-3886-1, this SCP-3886-2 will attempt to interact with the subject in a variety of playful and theatrical manners, and will obey all commands from SCP-3886-1, verbal or otherwise, to the best of its ability. Certain elements of this link, including SCP-3886-1 claiming to be able to see the containment chamber in which the current instance of SCP-3886-2 was stored, are not entirely understood. In its active state, living horses, Equus cabellus, react with panic upon becoming aware of SCP-3886's presence. Addendum 3886-A. After intensive psychological screenings, it has been determined that SCP-3886-1's prior personality and Foundation loyalty remains intact. Special Containment Procedures revised. Addendum 3886-B. Recovery. SCP-3886 was intercepted by embedded Foundation agents on Redacted 2010 after being sold to a subsidiary of Marshall Carter and Dark by an unknown beneficiary. Included was Document 3886-1, the personal journal of one H.Y., believed to have owned SCP-3886 before its anomalous attributes became apparent. Document 3886-1 Excerpt. July 14, 1932. The personal journal of H.Y. Translated from the original French. Another day, another performance. Today we stopped at Cincinnati. It's a beautiful city, I think. The kind of city where I could see myself quietly spending the rest of my days with my family had I the choice. Streetcars zoom along the clear roads. Everyone walks about to work as if half the world wasn't starving or begging for scrap. Hell, the first time in months we had a full booking. I wish I could be happy about that. Mr. Sherman spoke to me in private yesterday, and it's been all I have been able to think of since. He said my loyalty to the Barnum and Bailey Circus warranted a prior warning, but apparently, once we reach Louisville tomorrow, I will be let go. According to him, horse acts aren't good enough anymore. I am just not earning my keep. And after all I've done for this circus, even now, I just want to punch that two-faced son of a bitch right in the nose. It wouldn't help. He'd probably have me arrested, but God, it would feel good. As if that was not bad enough, I received a letter today from Mary that our dear Jezebel has taken a fever. The doctor did all he could, but even he could not say if she would make it through. The thought that my baby girl might even now be in the Father's arms gives me the chills. One last thing before I say my prayers. A man approached me after the show today. His face was all lopsided, upside down. Some accident, he said. He claimed he was a representative of a rival circus, a talent scout. And, well, he offered me a job. He didn't seem all that happy about it, said an opening had been made, but still, I do not have many other options. I couldn't give him my decision then, however I think I will take him up on his offer if it still stands. He gave me an address to reach him should I change my mind. I need to get some sleep. Till tomorrow then. Signed, H.Y. According to a local newspaper, H.Y. disappeared 3 days after the writing of this entry, along with his characteristic saddle, believed to be SCP-3886. The man's body was never found, and no search of notable measure was undertaken. Level 3 clearance required. Testing log 3886-1. The following is an abridged list of tests performed with SCP-3886 in conjunction with SCP-3886-1. For a complete testing log, please submit a formal request with Site-102 administration. Test number 5. Objective. After becoming aware of SCP-3886-1's claim to be able to feel SCP-3886-2 instances, even when separated, Dr. Rai devised the following test procedures. Testing parameters. SCP-3886-1 monitored by a team of 2 medical staff and 2 overseeing security personnel, was mildly sedated and placed under an fMRI. SCP-3886-2, Lucky, was again moved to a common testing chamber and, while wearing SCP-3886, was introduced to a variety of stimuli, including but not limited to a feather, the scent of cinnamon, a candle being waved beneath the nose, the removal of a 2 by 2 inch patch of skin from the haunches, electric shock, and the right hind leg being broken. Result: testing was discontinued for the day after SCP-3886-1 became violent, screaming and attempting to break containment. Notes: what scans we did receive before the subject became resistant were remarkable. It appears as if there is a mild sympathetic link between SCP-3886-1 and -2 instances. Still, I am afraid I must suggest that we cease testing with the lucky instance. It seems the subject has developed an emotional or sentimental attachment which is hindering the progress of our experiments. Head Researcher, Dr. Arnold Rye. Test Number 14. Objective: this was the first test in which SCP-3886 was used on an animal not of the genus family Equidae. Parameters: as with previous experiments, the proposed SCP-3886-2 cadaver, in this case that of a large Great Dane, footnote 4, Canis lupus familiaris, was placed in the center of the testing chamber with SCP-3886-1 and an escort of 4 armed security personnel entering after. Result: while testing progressed much like those previous, with the SCP-3886-2 animating as expected, the interactions between SCP-3886-1 and SCP-3886-2 were notably more muted. SCP-3886-2 moved awkwardly and seemed to be attempting a prancing, horse-like motion. Upon the cessation of testing, SCP-3886-1 offered the statement, "That just felt wrong somehow." Notes: I believe we are now ready for human testing. Head Researcher, Dr. Arnold Rye. Test Number 22. Objective: human testing. Parameters: same as Test 14, this time utilizing the corpse of D-1458. Result: Level 4 clearance required. Notes: Level 4 clearance required. Document 3886-1. Page extracts. July 23, 1932. I do not know where to start with this. To be quite frank, I fear that if a man had told me of half the things I had seen these last few days, I would have called him mad. Indeed, perhaps I myself am mad. Would not madness be a comforting prospect, as opposed to being witness to such horrors and wonders as have been shown to me? Creatures as alien as they are beautiful. Stage props that ignore the laws of nature. Music that can change a person's mind. A tiger that can make people fly like balloons. This place is like some sort of dream. Or nightmare. And despite all of this, I still do not really know why I am here. I had a brief audience with the man supposedly in charge of the carnival, Mr. Fuller, a man whose nondescript manner was equally as befuddling to me as the impossible spectacles he presides over. But when I asked what he expected of me specifically, he was cryptic. I had thought when Manny, as the upside-down faced is commonly called here, offered me this position, it would be in the same capacity as that of my previous one. Yet it has been days now, and I have not so much as seen a horse on the grounds, let alone begun preparing a show. I am certain I will feel better after hearing from Mary. I'll be writing her a letter after finishing this entry and will, with any luck, be able to find some sort of post with which to send it. At very least, I received news in Louisville that our darling Jezebel is still with us. Thank the merciful Lord. Till tomorrow, H.Y. July 24th, 1932. I have good news on 2 fronts. First, Manny has secured me 8 well-bred circus horses with which I may begin to fashion my new act. I am still not entirely certain how he expects me to compare to my certainly more spectacular peers. However, I will attempt not to, if one will pardon my saying, look a given horse in the mouth, as it were. Secondly, Having tried and failed to find some form of postage, I at long last posed an inquiry with Mr. Manny about my predicament, and he was more than willing to spirit the communique on its course. I am uncertain how Mary will react to that which I have intoned on that page, though as long as she takes the money enclosed within, I am contented. Matter not, I must do this for them. Till tomorrow, H.Y. August 10th, 1932. I am worried. At first I thought I could handle this, forming a show from scratch. Yet now, with all these additions Mr. Fuller is insistent on adding, it is working both me and the animals into exhaustion. I practice with them, day and night. By God, I dream about the damn practices. It is all no good. I can't do it, I just can't. Perhaps that was the real reason Mr. Sherwood dismissed me. All those days or weeks or months ago, I do not know which, time is foggy. I, for all I deny it, am simply too poor an equestrian. I never trained officially. All I have learned, I have taught myself. And it is not enough. What is worse, I still have not received any word from Mary. I have written her at least 10 times since my initial letter, but Manny claims he has yet to receive any correspondence in return. Could it truly be that she thinks me mad? I hope not. Perhaps one day, when this business is all over, I will be able to return to her and Jezebel. This is all for them, after all. I need a drink. Till tomorrow. H.Y. August 16th, 1932. Mr. Fuller came today to see an example of how my work had progressed. I doubt he was impressed. The horses were a mess, all stepping out of sync, stopping suddenly at even the most momentary distractions. One almost bucked me off while I was riding it. If anything, I think they may have gotten worse under my tutelage. When the whole disastrous ordeal was over, the ringmaster had already left. I fear the worst. I have already begun packing my things, but I cannot seem to find my saddle. Papa always said that it was during these times that men must reconcile with themselves. He was right. It was not until now, left with the prospect of losing this work, that I can finally see my own lies. In truth, I did not take this job out of devotion to my wife or daughter, though I love them both dearly. There is no security in this work, no prospects, nothing in which one can build a family. No, I took on this job for the same reason I left them to travel with the Barnum and Bailey circus in the first place. Selfishness. Writing that out really does not make me feel better about it. Till tomorrow. H.Y. August 19th, 1932. Mr. Fuller, he offered me a solution to my predicament, and No. This is not right. How am I even thinking about doing something like this? It is sick. It is wrong. Could I even look at myself in the mirror if I went through with it? How could I ever be a father to Jezebel? How could I ask for forgiveness for something so heinous? Would I even deserve it? What Mr. Fuller is offering, though, all my dreams. Since I was a little boy of riding horses with natural talent, having the animal move as I do, breathe as I do, respond to the slightest command. Oh, he made it clear. It is my choice. But what kind of choice is that? H.Y. Undated. I did it. I did it. And I want whoever is reading this to know, I am not proud of it. I am not. I still have the blood on my hands. I can't get it off. It is everywhere. The saddle. I want to retch just thinking about it. Was covered in it. Thick, viscous blood and mucus and black milk and so many other fluids all mixed together. But when it was all over, I could hear it. It was in my mind just as I was in its, and it moved, and I moved, and God. Now I am laughing and crying and heaving though my stomach is empty. The man is rebranding my show. The posters were already drawn up. I walked past one back on my way to my room. See the magnificent HY, the Necromancer equestrian extraordinaire. Somewhere in my chest I can feel a sinking dread. I fear this is what Mr. Fuller had always intended. HY. Level 4 clearance required. Test log 22. Description. Test 22 is approved by Site 102 administration on Redacted 2016. This test was meant to determine as to if SCP-3886 could be practically employed as a method of covert infiltration and data extraction with captured enemy cadavers. D1458 was instructed to memorize a sequence of 14 geometric shapes over a period of 7 days. Being informed that successful repetition at the end of 7 days would earn the subject freedom. The subject was then summarily terminated. 15 hours, 17 minutes, 27 seconds. SCP-3886-1, holding SCP-3886, enters test chamber accompanied by 4 armed guards. 15:17:45. SCP-3886-1 is instructed to place SCP-3886 on cadaver of D1458. 15:17:52. SCP-3886-1 refuses to comply with orders. 15:18:01. SCP-3886-1 is reminded that refusal to comply with Foundation staff orders during testing may result in punitive measures. 15:18:06. SCP-3886-1 approaches and fastens SCP-3886-1 around D1458's chest. 15:18:35. D1458 does not move for a period of 15 minutes, during which security staff approach the cadaver and signal to call off testing. 15:33:41. D1458, from here on dubbed SCP-3886-3, gasps, and with unprecedented agility, leaps to its feet. Security personnel and SCP-3886-1 retreat to the edge of the containment chamber, though D1458 does not seem to notice them. 15:33:52. D1458, standing remarkably still and not exhibiting any autonomic functions, breathing, blinking, even minute movements of the eyes, begins to speak. The voice is anomalously amplified by unknown means, the words of which seem to emanate somewhere within the entity's chest, as opposed to via D1458's mouth. 15:33:52. Ladies, gentlemen, unspeakable horrors of all age, I would like to welcome you all to Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting. 15:33:59. Today, you are in for a once-in-a-lifetime occasion. Today, to this very stage there comes a man, nay, a creature from beyond the ashen waves of the Baltic Sea, who rules over 7 unearthly kingdoms and strikes fear into the heart of all who gaze upon his horrible visage. A frightening and powerful necromancer, whose equestrian dance macabre will put all others before and after it to shame. I give you, the one, the only, Lord H.Y. 15:34:04. SCP-3886-3 smiles, applauding politely for 30 seconds before suddenly slumping back to the floor, inert. Notes: SCP-3886-1 claims to not have any control over SCP-3886-3's actions during this event. Repeating tests will be necessary to confirm this avenue closed, but for now the results do not look promising. Of further interest, during post-event autopsy, it was found that there was a large amount of an unidentified black fluid-like substance built upon SCP-3886-3's heart, lungs, and stomach. The purpose of this fluid and its relation to SCP-3886 is unknown. Substance analysis is inconclusive at this time. Signed, SCP-3886 Head Researcher, Dr. Arnold Rye. December 3rd, 1938. The following was the final entry in Document 3886-1. Unlike all previous entries, it is written in English. Once in a lifetime, my ass. It's all a lie, of course. A little lie. A lie the audience knows is a lie, just like my being some powerful necromancer or whatever other spin Manny thinks will draw on the crowds. But it is a lie nonetheless. My life has been built on lies, even before I joined this circus. I lied to my wife about why my running off to the carnival was for her sake. I lied to my daughter when I promised I would come home one day. I lied to myself when I thought I was being honest. But of all the masses Manny can bewitch with his multitude of convenient untruths, the only one he can never convince is Mr. Fuller himself. To Mr. Fuller, I am a disappointment. Even now, even after I gave up my life, my conscience, perhaps even my soul, to the man to serve in this little demented caravan, I can never be the thing he was truly looking for all those years ago when he sent Manny to fetch me. A replacement. I have heard her name, or whispers of it at least. A real necromancer, not some fake stage artist with a saddle polluted by Lovecraftian profanity like me. No. She, that bog witch, made flesh and bone sing. I heard the two might have been a bit more than colleagues, but you can never trust clown talk. And then one day, she ran away from him. Of course, he took precautions with me. You know, it took me 4 years before I noticed that little subclause of the contract. There I was, thinking about how I would repent my sins, flee and forget this entire nightmare ever happened. I didn't make it to the tree line before that damn saddle yanked me back like I was some dog pulling on the edge of its fucking leash. So here I am. Older. No wiser. I've seen things no man my age should ever see. I have looked upon the surface of alien planets. I have performed in front of audiences of undulating souls. I have talked with clowns and danced with the dead. And I am tired of it all. My only hope is that Mr. Fuller will not continue his vain search in my absence. May this saddle, and all my failures it represents, rest in peace. The following document, dubbed Document 3886-2, was discovered affixed to the bottom of SCP-3886 after initial recovery on Redacted 2010. Dear my upside-down friend. So, by now you have no doubt heard the news. I am sure Icky and her clowns are pleased. We never did get along. I apologize that I have not left you with much time for what must be done, but you and I both knew it would come to this. Fuller is growing worse day by the day, and if I didn't do this on my own terms, he certainly would have on his. That clown magic I performed on that saddle. I didn't just sell away my own soul that day. I sold away Jezebel's as well. Sins of the father and all that. You have seen what Herman is willing to do to achieve his own ends. Do you really think for a second that he won't go after my girl? I may not have been the best father. She probably does not even know who I am. But even so, I refuse to let this man, this thing, or this damn circus have her. Enclosed within this package is the saddle, my personal journal, and what little money I have earned over the last 5 decades. With the last, I hope that you get it to Jezebel. She should be out of that orphanage by now. For the other 2, I only ask that you get rid of them. Put them somewhere Fuller will never look. Did you know I still see my wife? Even after all these years, every time I sit atop that thing, every time I look in one of those corpse's glassy eyes, I see her. She still screams in my head, begging me to stop as I plunge the knife into her chest. But I don't stop. Not even in my dreams. Again and again, Her blood drips onto the saddle. It mixes with that awful black stuff. It pools in my fists. It is time for me to pay for my crimes, Manny. If hell exists, I walk to it willingly. Signed, HY. Thank you for listening to SCP-3886, The Necromancer's Saddle, by Ember16. If you enjoyed this SCP, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Also, make sure to follow the link in the description to the SCP Wiki and vote up the article to support the author and the SCP Wiki as a whole.